The aim of this morning's talk with you, to you, is to show how development can happen and the course that development ought to take. There are those who would want us as commentators to somehow see something, put jaundice in our own eyes, and see it not for what it is, but to see it for something else, something that they find favor with. They don't want you to see things and call it as you see it. So if praise is to be given, they don't want you to be positive about something you're seeing, some miraculous, magical way they want you to say something different. I can't do that. So here I go, and I'm telling you, let me just go into it. For a long, long time now, Tana, every budget cycle, you can write down on a piece of paper certain topics that will be raised in the budget debate. You would expect your industry minister, industry, investment and commerce, your business ministry, to come with a line to say, blah, blah, blah is going to happen to the old Goodyear factory in St. Thomas every year. In case you came in late, the old Goodyear factory, the Goodyear factory, was opened in March 1967. There's a photo in the Gleaner of the then industry minister, the great Bob Lightburn, holding a tire in his gloved right hand. That was the first tire made at the Goodyear factory, 1967. 30 years later, March 21, 1997, the Jamaica Stock Exchange published a statement from Goodyear that it was closing down the operations in Jamaica because of competition from low-cost producers. In other words, other people in other places were producing tires at significantly lower costs than Goodyear could. And so economies of scale and everything else meant that Goodyear had to shut down the business, even though they kept the distribution side going in Jamaica. But the manufacturing shut down. So open 1967, shut down 1997. And as I said, every year, big announcement. Big announcement one came in or about 2013. The Observer ran a series in 2013 called the White Elephant Series, looking at grandiose plans, developments in Jamaica that had done nothing more than hoover up taxpayer dollars, yet yield nothing at the end. And in that series was the old Goodyear factory. Because the Goodyear factory at that time had, according to the Observer's calculations, hoovered up $143 million because the then PNP administration announced that they were going to turn it into a technology park. In preparation for turning it into a technology park, what they did was send security personnel there. And the security personnel and other things that had been put into the Goodyear factory to make it into a technology park, when you totted up the sums that were paid for security and for the construction of a frame to fill out to build the technology park, it came up to $143 million and counting. What happened to the technology park? Well, the Observer published another article talking about the vandalism at this fledgling technology park. Well, to call it fledgling is not even fair because it didn't really take shape. Just the security there. The Observer said, quoting a resident, Darian Nugent, "Them have security guards here day and night since the factory closed. And people still go over there and thief off everything off the building," said the resident, Darian Nugent. According to Nugent, it was believed that the previous security personnel were working in conjunction with the vandals who were able to cart off entire windows and huge pieces of metal without being apprehended. So $143 million wasted because of a failed technology park. Then came Anthony Hilton, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, to say, okay, So the technology park failed. We're going to turn the old Goodyear factory into a special economic zone. And by doing that, the first thing that will be going there is a film lot. So he said the film lot would be the biggest in the Caribbean. And Hollywood films, Bollywood films, Nollywood films, North Shore were going to be made at the old Goodyear factory under this plan for a film lot. When Hilton made the announcement, it was said to him, well, hundreds of millions, well, at least 143 million would have been wasted already in the technology park venture. What assurance does the public have that this film lot will materialize? He said no, because there was an investor that was already waiting in the wings. The investor was they were called Real Vibes. And its CEO quoted talking about the extensive plans that it will be leased for 25 years and that they were doing a handover of land and that they are 100% going to take care of 100% of the financing, and the intention was to secure the funding before the end of the year. That year was 2015, and that all was in place for the film lot to take shape at the old Goodyear factory. Suffice to say, not one 30-second commercial was shot at the old Goodyear factory on the film lot because the film lot did not materialize. Hilton said, in telling the House of Representatives in the sectoral debate 2014-15, a Hollywood studio has already agreed to provide oversight on the project. He also mentioned Real Vibes Group and spoke about the music and film production school that the company had in the US, and it was going to build a campus at the lot. So this got the people of Morant Bay very excited, the people of Jamaica excited. Here's this big property that would attract significant investment to provide a benefit to the people of St. Thomas and its environs. The technology park failed. The film lot was even worse than the technology park because at least there were guards at the site when the technology park was mooted to protect certain assets in terms of building material. Nothing happened where the film lot is concerned. That failed spectacularly. Come forward now. 2019. Holness, Andrew of course, broke ground on June 26, 2019. To announce the construction of a $2 billion urban center with a whole heap of shops and businesses, government offices, fast food places. He said it would transform St. Thomas. $2 billion at the time when he broke ground. Breaking ground with him, I'm looking at the photo here, Littleton Tanny Shirley of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, Dr. Fenton Rudyard Ignatius Ferguson, the then Member of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, James Robertson, the Member of Parliament for West St. Thomas, Tian Chi, the Chinese ambassador to Jamaica, Michael Hugh, the Mayor of Morant Bay. All of them in the shot with shovels and hard hats doing the ceremonial groundbreaking on that project in 2019. And we all thought, well, if the technology park never landed and the film lot flopped, this urban center that Holness is coming with, not going anywhere. That was 2019, June 2019. On this day in sports, May 19, 2025, symbolic keys have been handed over. There's a massive structure in Morant Bay, and the Prime Minister cut the ribbon on a $6 billion urban center for Morant Bay on, was it Friday last week or Thursday?
I think it was Thursday.
Thursday last week. I say this to say, this is what is in front of us. This is what we've seen. We heard and saw the technology park plan fail. We didn't want it to fail. I'd have been happy if it had materialized, and so too with the residents of St. Thomas. We heard and saw the grand film lot plans fail as part of a special economic zone fail spectacularly. We saw and heard that happen. We've seen and heard this urban center plan come to fruition in front of our eyes. I remember carrying my daughter to St. Thomas one Sunday. She asked to drive out. And after we reached a certain point, she said she was hungry. So I said, all right, you want to turn back? She said, no, let's go ahead. We can buy something at Burger King. I said, there is no Burger King in St. Thomas. She said, okay, we can do Island Grill. There is no Island Grill in St. Thomas. Okay, then, Daddy, we can do KFC. There is no KFC in St. Thomas. Daddy, I think we should turn back. And I turned back. And I'm saying, just mentioning those things, St. Thomas used to be the butt of jokes. When I was at Sportsmax, there was a chap in my office, good producer, Ramon Stewart. We used to give him hell. We asked him if he was late for work because he got held up at the stoplight. There was no stoplight in St. Thomas at the time, and it's not so long ago, just a couple of years ago. I'm saying that the parish has undergone development. I'm saying that when a government promises something and delivers it, you have to hail it. In the same way, I would have sat in this chair and berated the administration had the urban center flopped. So my message this morning is simple. When you see development happen, you have to praise it. When you see development not happen, you have to criticize it. Where the urban center is concerned, you have to praise Holness and his team, because he has done for that old Goodyear factory something that ministers and administrations before him have failed spectacularly to do at a cost of tens of millions of taxpayers' money.